Cool.
Can you just, obviously, Georgia again, but Ole Miss, Tulane, just kind of thoughts on what could be a pretty great Deep South matchup here?
We're pretty excited about the matchup. And, Georgia's had great tradition and history here. They were just here last year, but based on the people I spoke to in Atlanta after the game last night, they're excited and they'll be here and strong and supporting the Bulldogs. And then we've got a great matchup for the first round game with Tulane and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is near proximity, Tulane even closer, but we've got great history with Tulane. The very first game for the Sugar Bowl featured Tulane, and it's been a long time since they've been here, so I know their fan base will be excited too. So we think the possibilities are really good right now.
Do you feel like with having two SEC teams as well as obviously Tulane that's here, is this a best case scenario as far as like scenarios of?
Well, we feel really good about it. We're not supposed to be biased, but the SEC's been the Sugar Bowl's bread and butter for 90 years now, and so we're excited at those possibilities. And Tulane, like you said, if they came here, that'd be a historic moment. It's been, I think, since 1939 was the last time they were here, so certainly would welcome them. And I know, based on, we've got a lot of Tulane people on the Sugar Bowl committee who are pretty excited about the possibilities right now, so it should be a fun few weeks.
It'll be obviously different for Georgia this year. Sadly, the tragedy happened last year and everything. Do you think, look, obviously that was a horrific experience, but this will be a much different experience for them, at least this time, even though it's still a playoff game?
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't venture to guess what's going through their fans' minds after what happened last year. It certainly was a terrible thing, but based on the atmosphere that I saw in Atlanta, they're pretty fired up about their team, and they look pretty good against Alabama. So I think that's a proud program that follows their team. So I'm sure that we'll have a lot of people here, and they'll be excited to show up and show out.
To that point, there was a lot of heightened security, obviously, for that game on January 2nd. Will any of that continue as far as like the strength and the
Absolutely. That's become part and parcel of what a major event in New Orleans is going to be going forward. We saw it with the Super Bowl earlier this year, and with the Bayou Classic we had some too just a couple weeks ago, and it's going to continue for us. The National Guard will be in to help out. It's just become part of protocol here to do a major event, and for me it makes us feel good. We're safe, and there's no reason people should be concerned because it's going to be covered up well. I think we've even heard that Poydras Street will probably become a pedestrian mall as it did when we had the game last year. Just do everything we can to make sure that it's a safe and fun environment for our fans.
I know that you all want the best matchup and what's best for the city, but historic games are also big. I mean, like you just mentioned, the last time Tulane was here was before most of us were born. I mean, I'm sure. Can you just think about how amazing that would be potentially for the city?
Yeah, having Tulane in the game would just be fantastic. Even though they're losing the coach, what you like about that is he's finishing the job, as he put it, staying and coaching out the year, and just based on, I said previously, we've got a lot of committee peoples that are Tulane people, and they're bouncing off the walls excited right now at the possibilities. So, I think it'd be a fun time and certainly be historical.
And I did have a follow-up to that. Some people may say, I know you all are an economic driver for the city, and some people may say, well, is that good if Tulane's in the game? But Tulane has such a national, alumni base that would be people from potentially New York and D.C. and the East Coast coming down for this game.
Well, I would certainly expect that. I've already heard from one of our former interns from New Jersey who's planning on coming if they make it. So we'll have people here from all over the country, no matter who is in the game, and so it'll still be a strong economic driver for this area.
And I guess the flip side of that is Ole Miss has a large alumni base in New Orleans, so if it were to be the Rebels, you would have local interest in addition to the people who might travel.
Absolutely. I mean, whatever happens in the first round, we're going to have a good game and a good environment in the stadium come game night. It's just there's a lot of rabid fan passion on all three environments there, and so we think it's going to turn out to be really good.
Looking ahead, the 6-year extension for the playoff games, just kind of where you all stand on that.
We're still working through it. We're really close to being done with a 6-year extension that would give us, we think, 3 quarterfinal games and 3 semifinal games during that time period. Commissioners have kind of extended the deadline. We've been hurrying up and waiting for about 4 years now, so we can wait a little bit longer. But supposedly after the national championship game, some decisions will be made going forward, and we'll be able to finally sign an agreement and move on down the road for 6 years, and we're certainly excited about that.
Speaking of championships, of course, high school championships take place this week. Can you just speak to your continued support of that?
Yeah, high school football is the sport in its purest form, and we've always been big supporters of high school football, and to do it at the state championship level is a special deal for us, and we're looking forward to next weekend.
Not that you want to pick a team, but you're looking forward to St. Augustine, what could be a historic Saturday in the Superdome for something that you all are involved with?
Well, certainly, and anything historic, we're all for. But it certainly, we got to see Carr earlier in the year. We sponsored a game with American Heritage when they came to town in September, and saw how good Carr is there, and so it'll be fun to see what shakes out. I guess we shouldn't be picking a team, but it'd be nice to have a local game that had that magnitude.
From a semifinal perspective, looking down the road, in this new format, you guys have not hosted a semifinal game yet. How important is that local support going to be when those games get after New Year's, assuming the calendar kind of sticks in the format that they've been using at this point, potentially a midweek, like a Thursday or Friday night game after January 1st?
Well, anybody who's heard me speak in the last couple of years has heard that the local support is going to be more important than it ever has been. Going forward, we're getting 6,000 tickets back from the schools that had previously been guaranteed by the schools starting next year. So we've got 6,000 tickets that we need to move locally, and we've kind of redefined local to mean anything within a drive market from Lake Charles to Baton Rouge to Jackson to Hattiesburg to Mobile, et cetera. And we've got a real big marketing push that's going to hit after the first of the year to try to move those tickets, because we cannot afford to have empty seats for those games going forward, because there's still an element out there amongst the conferences that likes playing games on campus. They will be full on campus. So we need to make sure that we're full and delivering the economic benefits to the conferences that participate, so that we can stay involved for a long time to come.
What was the feedback from the SEC championship game yesterday, just about the strength of the league this year? And obviously it showed up today with 5 teams in the bracket.
I think they're pretty proud of, and rightfully so, the SEC is of where they're at right now. They had a good year, and a lot of deserving teams, and I think with some teams that got left out, I would expect them to be pushing for expansion of the tournament going forward, because they had Vanderbilt and others that got left out, Texas, that are pretty strong football teams. So we'll see what happens. We don't have a say in that matter, but we'll be watching with great interest.
Okay.